Okay, we're recording. Call the meeting to order at 9:19 a.m. And the flag, stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. So item number 2 on the agenda. Approval of the meeting minutes 2/16 and 2/23. We're going to post those. We'll get those posted possibly later this afternoon as in draft form so that they're up, and we'll vote on them next week. So if we could get a I'll make a motion to postpone the 2/16 and 2/23 meeting minutes to a date certain, being our next regular
I'll second
meeting.
the motion.
All right, any discussion? No public on, and we'll go with all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously 2-0. And all right, so project updates, phase 1, security vestibule and roof. If you have anything specific on that item, and then we'll move to B, which is the AC projects next. So anything vestibule and roof related
We
from
have
anybody?
this is Sal. Come on.
Yep, we can hear you.
But we have a PCR meeting next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, March 6th, for the vestibules. So we'll hopefully report back next week that all went well.
Perfect. All right, so anybody else on security vestibules and roof?
Just a brief update, David. All the bids are due now Monday for the project. And that's really we issued a supplement yesterday to the bidders, and now all the bids are now due 4th. Okay, and the goal is next week we open bids, obviously on the 4th, and we go into scope reviews all of next week. So that's really the only update at this point in time.
Okay. And anybody else on that item? Okay, let's go with item B, AC projects, which I believe is similar as far as updating goes. Although Mark, if you have anything else on this one, let us know.
No, I think it's all included on the bid opening on the 4th.
Okay. Perfect. All right, so that is it for item number 3, phase 1. Item number 4, project updates, phase 2.
I'll lead off. We do have a revised ad service from BL. It minor changes to the fee structure. I think there was Jesse characterized them as math errors on the original. So there's a minor change to that. I included that in the email last night. I did rework the calendar, and let me get to add that. There we go. Knew I had it. Schedule that I sent out to BL and Gilbane yesterday kind of kept everything the same as far as schematic design. It's still 6 weeks. The schematic design review period is a week, but I would expect if there's options on the HVAC or any of the major items during schematic design, that we'd have a meeting in the 4th or 5th week to discuss them and get some preliminary direction on it, and then that the initial week of the SD estimate would be to finalize those options. So the SD estimate stayed at 4 weeks, but the biggest thing with that is we go pencils down on the design and the estimate period, but we're gonna just put pencils down for 2 weeks and then get them back going on design development to keep the same 14 weeks of design development. And the cost estimate in schematic design is not going to change the overall design of the project. Then we come down, we have the 14 weeks of design development, and we kept the 5 weeks of design development estimate and for the 12th of September was our target date.
Yep, that's perfect. It's certainly tight. I think you know, doable as we talked about last week. Thanks for making those adjustments. That is you know, puts you at right up against the drop date as far as, you know, on the town side, but I think with communication as to where things even are trending will be helpful. And it would be about plugging in those final numbers and being buttoned up. So that'll help. I would say as you get into that sort of final stage window, you'll start getting asked for, you know, at least, you know, be prepared, I think, for, you know, rough cash flow and overall timelines and things like that. But then we'll have, you know, firmer placeholders and we can, in that final week, prep it. So, but there's no, you know, make no mistake, there's no wiggle room there.
Yeah, towards that, Mark, during your conversations in this tightening the plan, were there any specific risks that were called out that or mitigation steps put in place for it, especially that overlap period? Was there any key people that if they catch a cold were screwed or anything of that nature?
I mean, it's a tight timeline. So if there's, with the 14 weeks of DD, hopefully, you know, if there is an issue, it can be recovered in that time. There's 4 projects going also. So, but as discussed last week, there's also 2 design groups, essentially. Two teams working on 2 schools each. So it'll be somewhat divide and conquer.
Right.
So, but it is a tight timeline.
Yeah. I would say divide and conquer over it helps. I think if there's a way, you know, I think if there's several people in each of those teams, I think the single point of failure piece has just sort of, you know, dogged us on a couple things in the past. So trying to minimize that within the teams, and then you know, I would say use this as our final timeline, and if they can, you know, versus assuming that there's a way to sort of make up time, I'd actually try to say, is there a way to gain time while they're doing this, right? So, you know, even a couple days here and there in these processes will, for, you know, any variation, you know, any variant of the projects will be very helpful. Pay dividends on the back end versus being caught at the 11th hour. So it's tight, but this is going to have to be it. And obviously, we've made some tight deadlines before here. So this will be a purchasing question, but do we need to make a vote for the phase 2 through 5 for BL to get started on their portion of it, or in that they were awarded and under kind of, is there any other contract item, or in that they were awarded based on phase 1 and the broader RFP? Are we ready to this is just rolling into the other projects. I don't think that we've had to vote for others, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. I guess across the board as we embark on officially phase 2 through 5 with everybody. The theme stays in place. Is that a problem?
I'll confirm with Adam, but I don't believe that a vote is necessary. But I'll confirm with him and we'll be back to you.
Okay, perfect.
Mis-
So we'll.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, I jumped on late. I have a quick question for you.
Oh, yep, I see you there, Jason.
Phase 2 information, just for phase 2.
Yep.
Do you know when that will be available? I need to use that to bring it to the Board of Ed at our waterfall meeting before the capital planning meeting, so we can give approval on phase 2 on the BOE level.
So do you know what your date is for that?
I do. I don't have them with me. I can send you a text or send everyone on the building committee an email. I know I asked Amar and Mark about it, but, and I apologize again. I can send everyone an email for it.
So what I would say
Jason,
is,
is it the same date that
Yeah.
we discussed?
You mean last week? Correct. So
I believe it was August 27th was the date that you gave me.
because the capital campaigning is on the 12th of September, correct?
no, it's further. No, the 12th is a Thursday, and I had said to them that Thursday latest, 13th of Friday, so that the finance office had the following, week, because they get the capital planning documents usually out on the Thursday prior at the latest, because the meeting's on the 24th. If your meeting is 2 weeks earlier than that, I don't believe that we're gonna see, unless they now can collapse this by 2 more weeks. They already had collapsed it by 2 weeks. I don't believe that we'll necessarily see in complete detail when it comes to the BOE, but that was the part I was speaking of, that even before it came to final numbers, that we would have something more substantial for all of us to be working on. I mean, even end of August, we should have, a pretty decent baseline to start loading in.
I
So
will
I don't
say
know if they're
that
gonna have true numbers for the BOE under this
I
timeline.
think if phase 2 is complete, that's the only thing we're looking for. I will send you the dates again. I apologize for not having it with me.
Yeah,
Because we'll need a week to just look it over, open for discussion, the first read, and then the following week we'll vote on it. And it's
Mhm.
just phase 2, because that's in the waterfall.
well, they're all
Correct.
roughly
They're all in the waterfall,
over the next
but-
10 years.
But phase 2 will be the next project that we can approve to then move forward on it, right? Especially with the design and everything like that, because it's just a Tomlinson project.
Correct. That would be the next one to move up to then be actionable with. So we can we within all this look for phase 2 possibly to be done a little bit sooner? You guys can come back to us next week with that answer, but that's just, I don't know if that's possible, but, or more tightened up at least, even if it's not at final.
It doesn't have to truly be final, right? Because by the time you go to the capital planning, it'll be more or less final on that.
Yes.
So that, and then obviously we can give the Board of Finance an update, but I don't, I will get you the dates later today, if not today, by Monday. I have it written down.
Yeah.
I apologize, I didn't bring it.
I think it's by, if I have the dates right, I think we'd have to have it by the 27th of August and then rolling right that within a couple days after into that meeting. So,
Yeah.
that moves number 2 up by about 2 weeks. And Why don't you guys take a look and report back next week at the options for that for just the Tomlinson piece, and how that would play in for the board's perspective. And then I think based on this, the rest, that the broader plan, that this fits it. And I think you just need to be, everyone's gonna have to, have some redundancy in and be really working to try to be, not up against the deadlines as they go through this. So,
Thank you.
Jesse,
Yeah,
something?
David, I think the scope of work on Tomlinson's really, I'm not going to say minimal, but it's really a lot smaller than the two high schools. So I don't see an issue on our side with completing that one earlier than this overall schedule here.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else on this item? Phase 2 through 5? Okay. Get the agenda back up. Okay. Approvals under item number 5, proposals, A.
This is the only proposal we had is the ad service for BL for the phase 2 through 5.
Okay. So, got it. Well, this is the one I was asking if we actually needed to or didn't need to
Vote. Right.
to approve on it or not.
I have a
Is
couple
it they're
questions.
coming
for you
right off of
under
what we
that,
already
David.
did? Yeah, go ahead.
Mark, first of all, there's a typo on page 6. I assume our EP is supposed to be RFP. I assume that's the case. Right, it's RFP fee in the header. 2023, column 4.
Yes.
There you go. And I just, new guy questions. So what's the justification for a 5% annual increase from B&L? Is that standard across the industry? It seems a little high to me, but I'm not familiar with the construction industry as well. And then I also, the continuation of that was if dates change, then are we looking at incurring additional costs if 2024 numbers leaked into 2025 from a period? Would we then have to take in another 5% hit, or are those numbers honored? There is language that says we can move dates mutually agreeable, but it doesn't explicitly call out the rates.
Our intention when writing this was that 5% increase per year. And, over the past 5 years, it's been a little bit unpredictable. Some years have been higher than that. Some have been under, but it seemed like a good average in terms of what we've seen as a company for increases. And if we push an entire project back a year, we can talk about it. So the way we wrote this was that the entire design development phase is in 2024 and the entire CD phase is in 2025.
Right.
It sounds like we're definitely doing the SDDD phase in 2024, based on the conversations. So the rest is just where does the CD part happen? And does half of it happen in 2025 and half in 2026, or does all happen in 2025? We can really talk about that later. We write it like that so someone can't say, let's push it out 3 years and force us to have the same rates 3 years down the road.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that aspect of it. Sorry?
It is pretty typical for an undefined schedule for the design team or any design professional to escalate their rates when the schedule is better defined in the RFP. If they were coming back for phase one escalation through no fault of of their own, or through the fault of their own, they wouldn't be looking for escalation. But when the town set the design schedule for phase 2 through 5, it was supposed to be, it should have been, there was no way to say it was going to be done in $24 or $27.
Well, isn't there I guess the question is what their ultimate terms had said, but most of these that live on multiple years and get renewed out usually have like a COLA. They either have it set how they're going to escalate, and these don't look to be drastically. Some are a hair. Some are right
5%,
on
David.
COLA.
It's a 5% kicker.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look at the RFP last night, so I'm not
That's
sure your question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like 3890, is a hair under COLA, right? But if I take the 12, the third line down, right, 12,740, and I applied COLA to it, I'd come out to like 13,340. Yeah, if I was at 5%, yeah, it's actually a hair over 5. It's like just a hair under 6% on the third line down.
Well,
So
there was clearly some rounding, lots of zeros in the 2024 fee, so it was, that's fair enough. I was more concerned with the 2025 actually, because that's a 10% kicker, and those numbers, absolute dollars, is also higher. So the increase in the dollar amounts wasn't significant, but well, I should say that's insignificant, $500,000, but the 2025 numbers were millions, so it was it had a bigger impact. I just didn't. Again, I'm just trying to understand how it fit in with the original RFP callouts, and if we're all in alignment there, and if it's a standard. Again, my ignorance, new guy ignorance.
I don't disagree with an increase. I mean, obviously, this was bidded out last spring, and it's for work in partial. It's gonna be done by sometime this fall or end of summer, right? So it's just what's the right number. Jesse, sorry, you were gonna.
No problem. Jeff, just to answer your question, yes, I rounded a little bit more here. And just instead of having, I think for the fixed fee portion, like the first 3 lines of each school, if you add up everything together, it should be slightly under 5%. I think 3 of the 4 were like 4.9, ish, like that. So again, we can put it back to the other way. I just thought rounding it made a little more sense.
No, I wasn't criticizing that, Jesse, and I don't want to sound like I'm attacking you. You just happen to be first to bat in my review process. That's all. But I'm just trying to get my head around what is a sort of standard behavior for going forward. That's all.
And just going back to the RFP from our perspective, it didn't really state how to address the future phases and escalation. So we made sure to just say, hey, we're gonna put in the RFP based on 2023 dollars, and then depending on what actually happens to the projects, we can discuss and escalate it from there, which I think makes sense because look what's happening. The dates are changing already. So.
Okay. I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So on this one, go back to Lee and Adam. I asked it before, and I think you were going to check Adam. But so, do we want to? And Rodney, just make a note. Rodney is here on now. So for this, it's at 9:43. So do we want to vote on this? Do we need to vote on this?
This is Adam speaking.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I was sort of talking about it with Lee. I don't know that it's necessary, but on the other hand, it is kind of nice to have the extra backup. So I would kind of leave it up to you as the chair, I think, if you felt it was necessary. You just talking about the last phase, or
Yeah, it's phases 2 through 5. Look, so on the one hand, I don't want to slow them down. So, I don't want to do that. On the other hand, I'm wondering if we postpone, we wait a week. I mean, there was a language, I mean, just so I guess let's take this as fee item as an example from a purchasing perspective. I mean, this thing was done back in the spring. It didn't, they're in 2024. They should certainly have an escalator. It didn't speak to a specific COLA escalator. I see what they did with refreshing their numbers. They're a little bit above COLA, but based on everything, they're obviously they're not. I mean, they're in the range, and these are $22, $24 now. So, do you, and you don't have to go to any other contracts or anything to that effect. Like, this is all right off. This is all basically just continuing on what they've already got in place, like the other vendors, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would view moving on to phase or accepting a phase 2 proposal as sort of just an extension of the contract that we have in place. From a contract perspective, I would view it as like a change order, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Rodney?
Do we have
I can't, we can hear you, but only a little bit.
I'm sorry. Do we have seed money for this project? Has it been
Yes.
allocated? How
Yep.
much?
Mark or Sal, do you have that number? I think it was like 972.
73.
There you go. Off by 1,000.
How much?
So
I'm sorry.
seed money was allocated. 973,000 for phase 2 through 5 seed money was already approved. So, does this fit? So within that seed money, we have some other, components. Do
Gilbane
we
will
have a
have-
work?
Correct.
Yep.
Gilbane will have costs on the phase 2 through 5 through DD.
Okay.
Because they will be doing the 2 estimates for it.
Mark, have we done an
Right.
analysis? See whether we fit within that seed money allocation.
Yes, the seed money allocation was based on the proposals in the RFP escalated into the current year.
What was the escalation factor?
At the time, I believe it was right around 5. We used
Okay.
BL's numbers for it.
Okay. Do you have the budget put up like with everyone's numbers in that? If you don't, that's fine. I don't know what you have prepared yet, but
Not for phase 2 through 5, no,
okay.
because these will be separate projects altogether.
So here's my thoughts for right now. I don't think that between now and next week we're necessarily slowing anything down. I think that as stated, we don't necessarily need to take a vote for everyone to be moving to officially move forward. I think that BL is clearly going to be doing this work. What we should do between now and next week, I think, is actually take the Gilbane, Collier's, BL numbers, any escalations, put them into a cleaner, budget of what we're looking for, and bring that back as a package to the committee, and have us vote on that as a package for 2 through 5 across the board, and any adjustments that would take place. $2024, 2024 budget, contingency, whatever's built in as far as that. And then we can see it in totality. and okay, it's moving forward. I think that all vendors are clearly going to be the vendors, and with some adjustments in each direction and on how we do that. So nobody should not be between now and next week feeling like they shouldn't be moving, getting at those early stages of getting ready to be officially, embarking on this. Everyone's under contract, as Adam said, these are ultimately going to be change orders, but I do think we should approve the whole thing in one package and say, we're there. So does that make sense to
agree.
everybody? Because I don't want to lose a week. I don't think we're losing a week. I think everyone can prep, and then we'll just sign off based upon it in totality.
Yes, and can we get this information prior to Thursday evening?
Yeah, like, can we do this close of
Yep.
business Wednesday, Mark? And we'll have it as a standing,
Yep.
a specific agenda item within the approvals as well. You can list out the. I'll work with you on the agenda, but we're gonna make it. We'll write it out so it's a nice, clean, publicly noticed approval of all.
Okay.
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 Perfect.
All right. Perfect. All right. Do we have anything else at this time on the agenda? Invoices, yes.
Invoices. And the only thing we have on the invoice packet is the state education fee. This is a soft cost in the budget. We just need approval to pay them, and then we'll work out the how they get paid to the building department. But the state education fees, Gil Bain submitted application, building permit application for all 3 schools. And this is we believe is the final step to obtaining the building permits is the state education fees, which is $444 for Osborne Hill, $1,287 for North Stratfield, which, well, we'll get to that, and Fairfield Woods of $730. This is just for basically the trades without the MEP. So why North Stratfield is higher is it includes the roof in there, which is non-MEP. So that's the higher number. If you do the math, if the HVAC project comes out to be about $444 for North Stratfield, and the balance of that is the roof of $843.
Okay. So get a motion
All right.
approval. I think we can do this as a package.
Yeah, I'll make
then-
the motion to accept and approve the invoices for the state educational fee for Osborne Hill, North Stratfield, Fairfield Woods in the total amount of $2,461.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
No, Mark answered my questions already, so I'm good.
Perfect. And any public comment on it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Next on the agenda, Mark?
New business.
And we have no new business. Anybody else? I know
Well,
nothing.
I do have 2 points.
Okay, yeah.
Builders risk insurance. It got set to Karma. We're expecting it back next week. Would you they're bidding out the builder's risk, and we anticipate it back next week. We already have the builder's risk policy that Gilbane provided, so once we get the Kerma one, we can make a choice there. And materials testing, I put the bid form, I sent that out last night. That will be going out next week. It's just a unit rate bid form, and then based on the plans and specs and the statement of special inspections, we'll get that back in 3 to 4 weeks and do an evaluation and recommend a testing agency. And I'll be going to the 4 testing agencies that are on state contract.
Okay. I don't think on that, as we talked about, we need a vote at this time. So that's mostly a disclosure. Anybody else have anything to notify the committee? Otherwise, I think we can move to adjourn.
I think
I'll
Amar
make-
had his hand up.
Okay. Some of the videos, I don't know
Sorry
if it's
about
my
that.
end
Just
or
a-
others, but no, some
Sorry
of the
about that.
videos are cutting in and out on, I think, based on
That's
bandwidth
okay.
here. So
Just 2 quick questions. Hazmat monitoring during construction, Mark, is that going through BL or is that a procurement piece?
That is BL.
Okay, good. And move management, I know you and I spoke about that briefly. So just something,
Yep.
not sure if that's.
We got to
made any
get on that
progress.
too. Yep.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second the
Second
motion.
that. Okay, there you go. Jeff will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 9:56 a.m.